What makes someone keep reading after the very first sentence? It is not the fancy vocabulary, and it is definitely not starting with since the beginning of time. The first line of your writing has one job: earn the next sentence. Whether you are writing a novel, article, blog, essay, or even a LinkedIn post, your opening determines whether readers lean in or they move away. In this video, you will learn the psychology behind powerful openings, the 5 techniques for writing them, and a simple framework you can use immediately. So let's immediately dive in. Why opening matters? Now, think about how you consume content. You open a book and read the first page. You click an article and scan the first paragraph. You see a social media post and decide within seconds whether it's worth your attention. Readers are constantly asking one question: why should I care? Think about it. Why should a reader care enough to read your book? A strong opening answers that question immediately. A weak opening forces readers to do all the work. The goal of an opening line isn't to explain everything. The goal is to create enough curiosity, tension, emotion, or relevance that readers want to know more. But then we make one big opening mistake. The most common mistake writers make is starting too far away from the interesting part. For example, John have lived in Chicago for 32 years. He worked as an accountant. He enjoyed baseball and coffee. Now, nothing is technically wrong in this, but nothing is compelling enough. Now, compare that with this example. John discovered the missing $2 million 3 minutes before the auditors arrived. Now, suddenly we have questions. What happened? Where did the money go? Where did it come from? What will John do? Good openings create questions. Bad opening answers questions that nobody has asked yet. So let's learn different ways of writing an opening line. And there are 5 powerful techniques that you can use. Technique number 1 is to start with a surprising sentence. For example, most people lose readers before they finish their first sentence. Now, this works because it challenges the expectations. Readers naturally want to know if it's true. Some other examples of opening with a surprising statement is: the best advice I ever received was completely wrong. Now, it's quite of contradiction. It's like surprising, and the reader wants to know what is wrong about it. Another example is: everything changed because of a forgotten email. So, it leads to an element of surprise. What is happening in all of these sentences is that surprise is creating curiosity, and that's what makes a opening line powerful. A second technique to use to create a powerful opening line is to start with a question. For example, what would you do if your career disappeared tomorrow? Now that brings in curiosity and it brings in fear. This question invites readers into a conversation. But while you are asking a question, avoid using generic questions like, have you ever wondered about success? You need to ask some specific questions. They could be emotional or thought provoking. Basically, you have to hook the reader to move on to the next sentence. For example, why do some stories grip us from the first sentence while others fade instantly? Another example could be: what if the problem isn't about writing, but it is about your opening? The third technique is to start in the middle of the action. Great storytellers often skip the setup and jump directly into the moment. For example, the fire alarm went off exactly as Sarah pressed send. Now, immediately, We are inside a scene. We want context, but we are willing to keep reading to get it. And this technique is equally powerful for storytelling and narrative nonfiction. The fourth technique that you can use to have a powerful opening line is to start with a vivid image. For example, the coffee had gone cold hours ago, but neither of them noticed. A strong image helps readers to visualize a moment. It creates atmosphere and emotion without lengthy explanation. Many editors and literary agents say, don't tell but show. And good writing often shows before it explains. The last technique, technique number 5 that you can use is to start with tension. Tension isn't limited to explosion or car chases. It is simply a gap between what is and what could happen next. For example, everyone in the room believed the presentation was a success except the CEO. Now there is a tension. Readers want resolution, and curiosity pulls them forward. If you are still with me and have reached to this point, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share with your author friends. Now let's talk about a simple opening formula. It goes in 3 steps: hook, context, and curiosity. Now, hook helps to grab the attention of the reader. Context helps readers to understand the situation, and curiosity gives them a reason to continue. For example, the interview lasted less than 5 minutes. After months of preparation, one unexpected question ended the conversation almost immediately. It taught me a lesson about communication that I still use today. Now, this is a simple, clear, and effective opening. So, my author friends, great openings are not about sounding clever, they are about creating momentum. The best first lines spark curiosity. So, the next time you write, don't ask, how do I begin? Ask, what's the most interesting thing my reader needs to know right now? Just start from there. Because when your opening works, readers gladly follow you anywhere. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more writing, storytelling, and communication tips. And in the comments, share your favorite opening line from a book, article, or a story. I would love to see what hooked you and why. Thanks for watching this video. Keep shining and smiling, and I will see you next week.